That's right, y'all.
Welcome to the Journey to Develop Her podcast.
Let's go.
This podcast equips you with the real estate and wealth strategies you can use to develop and enhance your skills, experience, and profits in real estate, while also being healthy on the inside and the outside.
You ready?
We are showcasing some of the world's greatest male and female real estate developers and entrepreneurs. Now it's time to develop. Here's your host, real estate developing queen, Deontay Chantel.
Let's go.
So today we have two of my favorite realtors in New York City, Nicole Tailafero, and we also have Robert Rivera. How y'all doing today?
Hey,
Doing great.
Great. Welcome to the Properties and Profits Mastermind. I'm so happy to have y'all. So just for icebreaker, give everyone a 60-second introduction of who you are, what you do, and how you're doing it.
Okay, so my name is Nicole Tailafero. I'm a realtor. I basically show people how to get properties, commercial properties as well. Rob is my partner, so we actually have developments and buildings, and basically we do leasing service as well, and I help people buy property.
And my name is Rob Rivera. Nice to get to speak with you all. Thank you, Dion, for allowing me to come on here. So I am also a real estate agent, but I'm the real estate agent you call after you have acquired the property. So after you learn all the tips and tricks throughout the day of picking up property, I'm more concerned with the asset management and what it's going to be worth to you down the line, and how, right, like maximizing that flip and that return on the property. I deal a lot of that with asset management. I also do 421A mixed use developments as a leasing manager, as a managing agent in New York City. So I do a lot of the paperwork and administrative stuff on rent stabilized, rent control properties.
Nice. So I love both of them because, like they said, they work together, but they work in different arenas, right? So Nicole, she's helping you get into the property, and Robert is helping you maintain it, manage it, and he's a whole book of knowledge.
For real, yes, he is.
So these are definitely the right people for the questions I'm about to ask. So Nicole, in your opinion, not even in your opinion, what's happening right now? What is the current state of the real estate market?
Well, the current state of the real estate market is that interest rates are currently high right now. So what they're actually doing is trying to create programs that are going to keep people interested in buying. So in my opinion, this is the perfect time to purchase a property because right now you have more negotiation power. You're going to be able to get those sellers concessions. About a year ago, you wouldn't be able to get that because people were putting overpriced prices on the home, and they were knocking first-time home buyers out the market. Even if they had the money, they couldn't afford to do it because these people were coming in paying $20,000. So with interest rates being high, a lot of people are scared to purchase property because, first of all, a lot of people don't know what interest rates are. Like, they don't know how to determine what interest rates are. But if you get an FHA loan, you'll be able to basically refinance in 1 year. If you get a conventional loan, you'll be able to refinance again in 6 months. So in my opinion, this is the perfect time to purchase a property and be able to get exactly what you want right now.
Awesome. And do you want to add to that, Robert?
Yes. So, there's a very easy math equation when it comes to getting.
Oh, and let's not forget that Rob is also a mortgage lender.
Yes, I do help broker financing, but it's part of like asset management, like knowing when and how you could grow your portfolio using financing once you obviously like already have it. But to that point, I don't think anybody's looking for one deal, right? You're not spending your day speaking with masterminds and real estate professionals on how to get one property, right? Like, this is about growth, this is about retiring, this is about having multi-million-dollar portfolios and multiple sources of income streams. And one thing that I can know for sure that, I could say, and everybody could, very easily understand this. When you have assets under your name, you get offered more. You get offered more loans. You get offered more funding. You get offered, more projects. You have chances to make more connections. The growth is exponential once you get in. So if you do not have real estate assets under your belt, like, you need to get one. It's less important that you make, $2,500 a month profit instead of $1,900 a month profit today. If you don't have an asset, like, you make zero profit, right? Like off your money, you make nothing. And you're also extending the time that you're going to be able to get some of the benefits from being a commercial grade investor. So it's always good to start. There's a legitimate choice you need to make. Okay, I have an asset. Should I refinance? What are interest rates? If you don't have an asset, there's no choice to make. Like, you should start.
Exactly. All right. So for those who are not homeowners yet, right? Nicole specifically, how are some ways, or would you recommend, especially with your clients, how are you advising them on how to purchase their first investment property, which they may even use for house hacking?
Well, can you repeat that question again?
I said, okay, well, I kind of freestyled that one, but how would you advise? No, hold on, my connection. Can y'all hear me clearly?
Yep.
Or is it buffering? Okay. It says, how would you advise one to purchase a multifamily property specifically for house hacking?
Oh, so I would definitely tell them to use a FHA loan and purchase their property. Like I said, it's always going to be a perfect time to purchase and buy. A lot of the programs that they do have do not do a lot of other programs I'm going to talk about is not geared to multifamily homes. It would be geared more to single family homes. But purchasing a 2-family versus purchasing a single family will give you basically revenue that you'll be bringing in and generating. So that first property will be able to help you purchase your second property because you'll be generating income from the first property. So I will always suggest a person to purchase a multifamily home versus purchasing a single family home and making the money off the first property and then going to pay the second property and have no mortgage payments, basically.
Awesome. And I do see some questions dropping in the chat. So what I will say is, we'll get to the questions at the end, of course. So Rob, I started talking about single room occupancy properties. Can you explain to our audience, what is that exactly?
So an SRO, single room occupancy, is a property that is the layout is in such as that there are just bedrooms. They're on average about 250 square feet. On every floor, you would have a shared communal bathroom or a kitchen. They're a HUD sponsored entity. Okay, so you can't make any more right now. You couldn't build an SRO, but if you find one, you can utilize it. They're geared towards people that are going to be transient. You can rent rooms by the week. It's legally rentable by the week. You get a lot of people that are in and out of kind of like shelters, halfway houses, things like that. They do pay a premium. All right, you will be able to rent out an SRO for more than what you would rent a normal 2-family house if you're looking at it like price per square foot. The benefit of them is that because they're a HUD sponsored, it's because they're kind of like an HUD entity. You have access to renovation, to utility, and to additional grants that you would not have through conventional loan means. So you could get free money from the HPD in New York City, the HCR in New York State, and HUD if this is a nationwide. The Housing Urban Development Department's a nationwide like entity, that the ones that run Section 8. You can get funding from them to help you maintain that asset and grow your wealth without coming out of pocket.
Right. And what I love about SROs is we're talking about, because we're in the Metro New York area, but these type of units or properties are available throughout the country. They may be called different things. Someone even asked, is it similar to independent living facilities? Yes, it can be classified as such in a different city or state. Even transitional housing, supportive housing. But what I love about it is New York City and New York, we'll say New York State, right? And some of the other states, they're actually allocating millions, probably billions of dollars for
Yeah.
people that are in need of these services, right? And it could be someone that's facing homelessness, or it doesn't always have to be drug related or not even abuse related. They even have programs for people that are um, aging out of foster care, right? So they have different type of SRO or supportive housing facilities where us being landlords and buyers, we can buy those type of buildings, put those type of clients in there, and generate X amount of dollars per year. I don't want to put the number out
Right.
there, but for
Because
New
New
York
York
City,
has, yeah, because New
yeah.
York has 1 to 15 homeowners to it. So we have a high rent occupancy. So you're always going to get renters in New York City. Always.
Mhm. So someone asked, actually, she's one of our speakers. She's out of Philadelphia. So she actually said, and you know what, we'll just ask it now since we're talking about it right now. She said, does it have to be zoned for that type of property? Because she said in Philadelphia, you can't have more than 3 unrelated people renting single rooms in a property with single family housing zoning. So in this case, I know it can be strangers because I've seen it
Yeah,
where it could
definitely.
be, yeah. We've seen 2-bedroom apartments be chopped up into 3 to 4 rooms, and it's with strangers. So New York is probably, because of the density, it's probably a little bit more lenient on the zoning compared to like a town like Philadelphia, which is a little bit more, smaller. They
Yeah.
don't really have big buildings like New York
So
City.
they do have SRO housing in Philadelphia. SROs really got popular in like the second half, or kind of like the middle of the 20th century. Think like the 50s and the 60s, and that right even into the 70s, where they took older multifamily housing. Okay, so if it's zoned as a single family home, so it's a certificate of occupancy in New York City that says what the property is. Within any given zone, I can have a single family home, multifamily home, commercial, mixed use, like any of those things that could fit in a particular zone. But the property needs to be classified as a multifamily house to have different rental, different people renting different apartments. So um, in a single family house, is it going to be legal? Probably not. I would assume Philadelphia has that same type of rule. Like if it's a single family, it's for a single person. But if it's in a multifamily building, you can do single room occupancy. Now you cannot convert anything to SRO right now. All right, so like they've stopped that. So, but if you find one that's available, you can certainly pick it up and pick up where they left off. What you're finding a lot, and this is across the country, is the people that operated these SROs, they've made a lot of money. The owners are generally in their like 60s and older, like they've had these for a long time, and they just kind of got tired of like fixing them up and things like that. And when the paperwork is lacking, okay, so that's one thing when you are going to any rent stabilized, HUD subsidized type of property, like you need to have your rental paperwork up to date, right? Like think income recertifications, any type of tax credit that you're going to get, that should be part of your pro forma, basically, right? Instead of saying that like, oh, I'm going to spend X amount of dollars on the kitchen, right? You're spending X amount of dollars to an X amount of effort to make sure that they're like the paperwork's in order, so you could maximize your profit on that property. And that's the disconnect where people don't really know what to do. And they're like, I don't know. There's like an 85-page manual on the HUD document about, income recertification and like from the Department of Housing. Those are the things that I kind of like walk people through. It does, right? You could have something that's very, very valuable as long as you know where to get the proper, information on it.
Right.
Awesome. I love that you gave that advice. Now, typically, and I don't know if I wrote this down here. but typically, in a city like New York City, what are they paying on the low end? What are they paying per night per person? And on the high end, what are they paying per night per person for SRO?
On the low end, it would be like $175 a week. On the high end, it's like $140 a night, a day.
So I'm sorry, $75 a night.
$175 a week.
Okay.
A week on the low end. So like, right. You see some of them $250 a week, $300, and these are like free market. Someone comes like, I need a place, that you can offer them like for a week at something like that. But on the high end, you're looking at about $130, $140 a day.
Right, which about 3,000 a month.
Yeah, more per room.
Right. That's a lot.
That's much higher than collecting market. Well, we'll say.
And that's why area and location is one of the most important things. You see how you can't do certain things in Philadelphia, but you can do certain things in the Brooklyn area, the Bronx area, that they are going to allow those type of traffic areas to come in, just to respond to what she just said. So anytime you're buying a investment property, location, because I know we definitely have different people from different cities. You might live in Arizona, but you have to look at the home ownership out there to renters ratio. If it's 95% homeowners, you don't go get a multifamily out there, because the rent, you're not going to find renters, they are owners. So you have to go to different places, and don't be scared to venture into different states.
I just want to answer one question. I saw a comment, says money is great, but my neighbors don't want that much traffic in an area, right? Again, so these properties are already there, okay? Right. Like rent stabilized, rent controlled, SRO properties, they're already in place, and somebody wants to sell them. Someone's owned them for 30 years. They've maximized it. Like, they want to sell them. This is about what you're going to be able to capitalize over the next 5, 10, 20 years. In your right down your journey. You can here in New York City, I could buy an 8-family rent stabilized property for like $1.4-1.5 million, where if it was free market, it would be like $2 to $2.5 million maybe. And that's in the Bronx. If we're talking about like Harlem, you're talking about like a $2 or $3 million, 4, 5, 6 family house, where if I was getting rent stabilized, it could be like $1 million less, like per cost.
And tax exemptions,
tax benefits, and the additional funds that can come to you from that property far outweigh what you're potentially losing by not gaining, free market rent. All right, so like the same building that is going to drive, a free market building that drives $120,000 a year in income. The taxes may be $30,000, like here in New York City, right? Depending on where you are. A rent stabilized building that drives, $90,000 of income, the taxes may be like zero. So you're making the same type of profit or more, plus have the additional benefit of you're going to be subsidized for certain repairs that you make. And like the cash on cash is going to be equal or the same. So it's just, it's not everybody's cup of tea. They don't want to deal with some of the programs, or right, that you don't feel like you can manage tenants that may be in need. Hire a property manager, right? You want passive income to be passive anyway, so you should hire someone to deal with that anyway. But don't cut it out because you could be looking over deals. Like, you're standing around like, where's the money? Like, where can I make money? Everything's like so overpriced. It could be right in front of you, but you're cutting off like half of the potential stuff because it's not, that's rent stabilized, or that's an SRO, or that's something, right? You could be just like walking right over it. So I would take a look.
So I do want to bring up some new programs that actually just came out that is everywhere that you can go. Actually, the Joe Biden administration just actually came out with a program, and it's called the Down Payment Towards Equality Act. And it's geared to people actually not having a credit score. So they're not looking at the credit score. There's no credit score that needs to be generated. What they do is they traditionally look at your payment history now, because they're basically trying to close the gap in our community between it's basically 74% of the other culture, and we currently own 41%. So they're trying to actually team up with banks like Bank of America and M&T Bank that currently offers these programs right now. You actually do have to take the course for them, and it's like a 4-week course that you will have to take, and they basically do counseling and training and just make sure that you're going to be able to be reliable in paying it back. So if you don't have no money and you don't have closing costs, that doesn't mean that you can't purchase a home. You just have to sometimes just go on Google and look at some programs that your state is offering. But Bank of America, and we know, is nationwide. M&T is nationwide banks. So if you're looking to be a homeowner and you have little credit, which I will always tell everyone to fix their credit. I always want to stress that, because I'm not sure of the interest rates that they will be charging if you're not putting no money down. It could be possibly potentially high and detrimental to you, but there is ways to purchase homes without anything.
Awesome.
But
And
you need a job, though. You need a job. Let's say, I don't want you to think you need a job. You have to work, though.
I love that you segued right into what they would need, what the new programs are. I didn't even know, because I've been out the loop of being a realtor for some time. So thanks for even bringing that up right now. So typically, and we're about to wrap it up soon, but typically, if someone on this live has never purchased a home, can you briefly explain what the home buying process is like from beginning to end?
So typically what you would do is you would basically find a mortgage lender. The first thing that you would want to do is contact the bank, um, and basically get your documents over to them. So they'll be looking at your W-2s for the last 2 years. They'll be looking at your debt to ratio income, like what you owe, which shouldn't be over 43%, if I'm not mistaken, right, Rob, for the FHA?
Yeah, you can actually, they could probably stretch a total debt to income up to about 40, like 48, 49%, possibly. That includes the mortgage. Your housing ratio, like just the housing payment, could be up to about 37, 38%, depending on your reserves that you'd
Right.
have. Yeah.
All right. So once you get past that point, let's say they issue you a pre-approval, you find an agent that you like to work with, and it depends on what type of property that you're actually looking for. So if you're looking for a multifamily investment property, you need to work with a realtor that understands multifamily investments, because they'll be able to give you your rent roll. If you don't want to purchase a property and your mortgage is 4,000, and you're going to get $1,000 for the 1 bedroom downstairs, and now you're stuck paying 3,000. That's not what an investment is. You want to capitalize on what you're gonna your return. Um, Once you do that, they will do an inspection. They will come out and do an inspection. You will pay for an inspection. After the inspection, the bank will come out. They will send an appraiser out, see that the property is worth what it's supposed to be, which I just skipped the step, which you would put in an offer for the property. They will put in an offer. The seller will see the offer and accept the offer if they like the offer. After that, they will do an appraisal. The appraisal will come out. The bank will have to say that this property is worth something. It doesn't matter if you put in, the person could put down that the property is worth 900,000. That doesn't mean the bank is going to come and say the property is worth 900,000. The bank will then say what it is worth. You will go into contract, you will get your attorney, and you will close on your property. It's really not that hard.
So real quick, I know you got to run. If you have done like 3 deals in the last like couple of years, we can cut that whole process down to about 30 seconds, where you send me your bank statements and the property that you want to buy, and we say yes or no based on based on like what we think you could rent the property for. That's an experienced investor. They have access to commercial loans and investor loans that people don't always have. So again, like your first property, your second property may just be getting the resume to have access to all of this stuff that could, expand your portfolio exponentially. You probably won't hit a home run on the first one, but the third or fourth one, it will certainly be there. And it gets much, much easier.
And if it's a
Awesome.
cash deal, you close in 10 days.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And you
Yep. So,
bypass everything.
and I love that. And I'm gonna definitely recommend y'all to reach out to both of these realtors because I love that Robert is let me tell y'all, okay? We had a whole conversation randomly. He is a plethora of knowledge. But I love that he can also help structure your deals too. And that brings me to like one of my last questions from you, Robert, is typically how are commercial, well, I don't want to say commercial deals because that's a whole nother segment for later today. But let's go back to SRO for a second. Okay. Hey, somebody on here, because there's a few of the people on here that are really interested in working with nonprofits, doing SROs, and just making a difference in the community. Typically, how are these deals structured? Let's say they can't afford to buy a building in New York City, right? I know another alternative would be to structure a master lease, correct? So are you able to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So a master lease is like, say there's 10 SROs or even 10 regular apartments or 8 regular apartments, right? They have a certain rent roll. You're going to lease out the entire building to the owner for an amount under what you would rent the entire building. And then it's your job to rent the entire building out. Okay. So this whole building would rent for $24,000 a month. I'm going to do a master lease for $19,000 a month, rent out the property, right? $5,000 a month's profit. That's kind of how a master lease works. And it's your job to just do the managing of getting the people in and out on a really, really quick level. Typically, people really want to see, again, like people want to see some experience. And then if you're looking to buy the property, anything that's not a single to 4 family house, condo, or co-op is going to be a commercial or private loan. Okay. Commercial or private lenders will lend against anything. I don't care if you want to buy a gas station or, the Taj Mahal, like it really doesn't matter. That's all the same thing. As long as it's not 1, 2, 3, 4 family condo co-op for owner occupied use. Everything else is technically a commercial, private money, hard money, whatever you want to call it, loan. All those things are the same things. And the most important thing is capital and experience of the borrower. Okay. There's no credit score. There's no, ratios that are managed by the, by like the state or the government or anything like that. Here's a person, they want to do business. Do they have proof that they can do business? And does the business work? And that business is like the rental property or investment property that you want to buy. It's a much simpler process, but again, it's only really available to people who have had experience in that. So like I said, I'll say it again, even if you're buying a cheap house in Indiana for $20,000, you don't make any money, right? You're gonna hear about land bank deals today. You're gonna hear about HUD homes. You're gonna go online, pick something up for $20,000, $14,000. Even if that only makes you $500 a month, that is buying you credibility to grow your portfolio. So don't think about it as like, oh, I gotta go get this 10-unit building in New York, that's $4 million, right? Like that's a big jump to make. If you start building some type of portfolio, even if it's low risk, low reward, that alone is going to help you down the line. So don't look at it like it's, just that single dollar amount. Like you got to get started, and then that will open up more options for financing to pick up SROs, to pick up commercial property, to pick up abandoned kind of rundown deals, to do construction, to do development. None of those things are going to come without some type of background. So if you guys have questions on it, my Substack is on there. You could subscribe for free and contact me, ask me any questions if you'd like.
I highly recommend it. Someone asks, and I want Nicole to close it out on my last question. Not this question I'm asked, but I have a question for you, Nicole, specifically. But someone quickly asks, are flips considered a portfolio as well? And I'm going to say no. But it shows experience, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
it's not.
No, they want to see deals. So if you bought and sold homes over the last few years, absolutely, that's enough experience. You don't need to be holding on to the property, but they want to see that you have, you have experience and you have the want to do it. This is a business, right? At this point, it's a business. Buying your own home, house hacking, or buying a multifamily house, renting out the bottom, it's certainly going to help you, and you're certainly going to save money and build your personal wealth. But commercial and investment, and multifamily, like 4-family and up deals, this is business. So one quick thing I will say: don't buy that property thinking you're going to, if I'm going to profit $4,000 a month, that I get to take $3,000 a month and go to Miami with, because that's bad business. All right. That money should be going back and invested and used to, right? You pay yourself a regular salary that you're going to use, set yourself up as an S corporation, pay yourself a regular salary, use that money. Don't abuse the commercial asset, because if I do see that, I'm going to say, well, you're a risk as someone who's going to broker your financing. I want to see that the business is going to grow. So you need to reinvest in the business, at least on the first few deals. And then when you get the big one and you have like a bigger profit, then you could go ball out. Yeah.
But buying 10 properties and getting $4,000 from each of them is a
Get the
great
10 properties first.
Right.
Yeah.
So someone did say, Nicole, can you restate the name of the credit act that Biden implemented?
So it's called the Down Payment Towards Equality Act. And the Bank of America loan is specifically called the Community Affordable Loan Solution. That's what it is. So y'all definitely, actually, they'll be giving out $25,000. The Bank of America does $10,000 to $15,000, but they do not service the New York area. And I needed to say that because we have a higher price point, so they're not. Our down payments are totally higher.
And Nicole, how much is your buyer getting in Harlem for their down payment assistance?
74,000. So let's talk about that. Yes.
Yeah,
So I
co-op,
actually,
right?
yes. So it's a co-op.
25% of the purchase price.
Yes. So
Free.
my client right now, actually, they do have HFDCs for people that don't know that. And it's a program geared to people that cannot traditionally get a loan because they don't have high income credit limit. They don't have income. My client actually makes $80,000 to combined. And that's the limit that you can actually get for that co-op. And she's getting $74,000 from HPD. She did 4 classes and she just got approved for it. And she got a $274,000 loan. So, and it's a 4-bedroom in Harlem. The person originally purchased this property for $500, because I always talk about this property. The person that originally bought the property purchased it for $500. Me and Rob sold the property for $400,000.
Nice. So, all right. So to close it out, Nicole, why is home ownership essential to the Black and Brown community?
Oh my gosh. So it's essential because we have to build. This is what this whole event is about. First and foremost, let's get that. This is what this event is about: home ownership, owning generational wealth, closing the gap between other ethnicity and our ethnicity. We don't have enough home ownership, which means we are leaning more towards government assistance. We are not going to be able to take care of each other if we don't have anything for the next generation. So home ownership is important for the next generation, for you to be able to provide for yourself, to provide for your children, to have assets, to build equity. Equity is the most important thing that you could build for yourself. Well, if you don't pay property taxes, they could definitely come take it. But nobody can come take that from you. Your children are going to be able to live in this property and basically pass it on to the next generation, which your children, that stops Section 8. You're not going to be on Section 8. You're not going to be dependent and leaning on programs to basically take care of you. And we are leaning on that. And a lot of people don't know that, especially in New York is becoming gentrified. So right now, how much is a studio apartment in your building right now, Rob?
$3,200.
3,200. 3,200. Now, can you get a 1-family home and pay mortgage for 3,200? Why do that's enough right there to actually purchase a home? Why pay someone else's rent when you can, and you're not building anything for yourself? You have to build something for yourself. And this is what this whole event is about home ownership, making something happen for yourself and not depending on anyone to take care of you. You have it, you can always go sell it. If you don't have anything and you have a home, you could go take that and get the equity out of it and start all over and start fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I would love to do, that's one of the reasons I wanted to be here too. I do rent those apartments, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 out in the Bronx. And I get paid, but I drive that money for like a real estate investment trust. And it's not the Black and brown community that we could do like for each other. I charge them a lot of money, but this is free for you. So hopefully, take the advice you learn here today and
Yes, he has worked for
and run with it. Yeah.
millionaires and developers. And right now, currently in New York City, it's actually a lot of people don't realize that actually Afro Latinos and blacks are actually being pushed back down south. They are being pushed back down south because they're not going to be able to live in communities like New York, like LA, like Miami, because the development is going up. So developers are coming, purchasing these properties, making them getting tax breaks, everything that we're trying to teach you right now. Everything that you're trying to learn right now, they're doing at a higher scale. They're coming buying these buildings for $4 million and getting tax breaks, and their children are going to be able to go to college, and they don't even live in the Bronx.
Yeah. And if you're afraid, just I'll leave it at that. Like if you're afraid of making that investment because you think you're worried about if am I going to be able to handle the payment and wind up in like in an apartment or without like my house, like look around where you are now. Like, are you in an apartment? Are you happy with where you are now? Like you're worried about what if I lose this thing? Like where are you going to be? Well, you're probably going to be right where you are now. So are you afraid of trying to get something else, or are you afraid of, right? Like I'd be more afraid of being stuck where I am, right? Like I don't like if I'm in an apartment, like I don't want to be in this apartment anymore. That fear should push you to make something happen. As long as you're financially stable enough to make the jump, right? I'm not telling anybody to do something they actually can't afford. If you're financially stable enough to make the jump, it's just, I don't want to risk, losing something. But like, you're going to be right where you are,
losing the apartment.
You made the jump. You should be more afraid of being stuck there than you should be of losing something that you don't even have yet.
And that's why purchasing a multi-family is important, because that's what you might as well pay your own rent. You could rent if you're paying already $2,000, $3,000, you go get a multi-family. You're paying that already. Put that towards your mortgage. Have someone else pay the rest of the mortgage, and it's building something for you. You're not building something for someone else, because a lot of people don't know the tenant is actually paying the debt. So these landlords own these properties and they're not paying no mortgage. We are paying it for them.
Right. So last question, I promise y'all. We running over. We way over. And I know Robert has to go. Someone said, what are your thoughts on the NACA program? Either one of you can answer that.
The NACA program in regards to what? Into
buying home. First time home buyers buying a home. What are your thoughts on people using the NACA program to help them buy their first home?
Again, if it's the means that you have to use to get it, by all means, like go do it. I wouldn't be trying to downplay my assets or worth, like to try to get something with very little money down. Like understand when you buy a house, if you're going to finance 99% or 100% of the house, you didn't buy the house. You don't have equity in the house, right? So the bank owns the house. You will not actually make a wealth profit on that home for like 5 to 7 years. So do the math. So just do the math. You could say, how much money do I have? How long will it take me to save? If it's going to take you 7 years to save up for a down payment, right, from whatever you are now, then absolutely, then use that process now. But like if you have money in your 401k or in a money market account, if you're putting it, if you're putting money away, just like waiting to do something, but it's like, oh, but I could get it for, for like free, you're prolonging the amount of time that you have to pay for the house and pay for the equity on it, because one of the benefits of the home ownership is, being able to refinance and tap into the equity on it. If any of you guys know what, like what billionaires do, like they don't have credit cards, they borrow from their stocks, right? They buy stocks. They could take a loan from their stock brokerage account and then pay it back. The stock keeps growing up in value, and all they're doing, they're repaying themselves for money that is worth less than when they borrowed it. Right? If I borrow $1,000 and I pay it back 3 years from now, when those stocks are worth, $2,000, right? I still only have to pay back $1,000. So I got a free $1,000 even when I borrowed money. That's the type of benefit that you could get from home ownership, but it's specifically from the equity that you have in the home ownership. So if there's not a way to, push the amount of equity you put, don't think of down payment as a cost. Down payment is your cash turning into equity in a real asset. You're not losing money from down payment. You're gaining it.
But we just heard someone say, build your credit. If you build your credit, you have the money right there. You don't need the NACA program. You could build your credit. You could buy your house with your LLC.
If you find something today and you don't have a way to increase the amount of cash you have within a reasonable amount of time, and you're renting, and this is your best option to get a home, then go do it. Because yes, it'll take you 7 years to build, positive equity and be able to use that asset, but most likely it would take you 7 years of you renting your apartment to maybe even save up enough money to buy a home. Like you might as well just buy the home now. So use the program if it's there. And like I said, but if I wouldn't try to put nothing down if I had it. I would put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Interest rates would be super high.
Who don't know, NACA is a loan program that does not require a credit score minimum. Okay, so you can have whatever credit score. However, they do look at your debt to income ratio. They do give you 100%. It's a no down payment type of loan, right? And no closing costs. So you don't have to come to the table with any down payment and no closing costs. However, they do require you to have, I think, maybe $3,000 to $5,000 saved in your bank account. But outside of that, you don't come with anything, right? They do take a long time. So don't think you're going to find a house, you're going to put it in the contract, and you're going to close in 30 days. It can take months to close, unfortunately. But
you have tons of programs. Another program that is available is the Community Home Innovation Program. And this is New York. I'm sorry, because I'm a New York realtor. And it serves the Westchester and the Long Island community. And they give you $40,000 too. All you have to do is do counseling. So there's tons of programs that's geared to first time home buyers. You just have to find them. But paying nothing down, like I said, even with the Bank of America, interest rates is very important. Please do not get yourself into a contract and go into thinking that you're purchasing a home and then turn around and lose that home. A lot of people actually are going into foreclosure that just purchased their homes during that COVID section.
Yeah. Again, if you are on like a fixed income, you have a job where your income's not going to grow. Like this is what it is. I work for, the city, the library, municipality. Like I have set increases and things like that. I'm going to buy a house. I'm not going to move. I'm not going to flip it. And this is a way that you could get a house. I would certainly use it. For the majority of people, I would try to fix your credit and save money if possible. Look for other ways to generate money. Look internally towards some of your expenses, things that you're spending money on, and put some importance on where that money goes. And then do the best thing for you.
Awesome. Well, God, this one was fire. Okay, I think every segment so far has been fire. Thank you both so much for joining all of us, collaborating with us, dropping gems, sharing knowledge. Like I really do appreciate it. And everyone, make sure you get in contact with both of them. Nicole does have a book. Nicole, drop the handle for your book. What's the name of your book?
Getting Started with Real Estate in the Big Apple.
Okay, so hers is Getting Started in the Big in Real Estate in the Big Apple.
It's geared to agents because coming in, sometimes you don't have agents that teach you other things. I was lucky I have Rob that teaches me a lot, and he takes it step by step. But you have a lot of agents or brokers that don't even do that, and you'll be lost. And I don't think that I want anyone to be lost.
To be honest, if I decide to be an agent again, I'm coming to y'all team. So just in case. Yeah. But Rob, again, you're like an encyclopedia of information, and I encourage all of you, I don't care what state you're in, definitely get in contact with Rob. Stay connected to both of them, Rob and Nicole. All right, so I'm gonna let y'all go. Thank you so much again. God bless you all.
Thank you guys. Good luck.
Thank you for listening to the Journey to Develop Her podcast with Deontay Chantel and her special guest. Listen, we want you to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform and give us a 5-star review. That would be incredible. And we also have a visual experience over on YouTube. Just YouTube Journey to Develop Her podcast. To follow Deontay on Instagram, just hit up Deontay Chantel. That's DIONTECHANTEL. And also on IG at Journey to Develop Her. That's Journey to Develop Her. You can hit all the links in her bio with that. Stay locked in, keep developing, and we'll see you here next time.